Welcome to Dugout Chatter. We are going to see how America's pastime has shaped generations of young men and women into the determined people they are today.
Hello and welcome back to another episode of Dugout Chatter. And so, Braden, I was thinking about calling this little series Brotherly Love. Okay. Bringing in all the brothers, and Franco said he wants to come on with his brother, too.
Yeah.
It's kind of cool bringing in all the baseball bros. So, probably going to release the episodes in order of age. So, Ryan, Karen, you, then all four of us.
Sure.
So, that'll be a fun, chaotic one.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to that.
Yeah. So, this is our first episode on location, and if you're watching us on YouTube, we're at Ravish Kitchen and Cocktails. We're in downtown Lantana enjoying happy hour, right?
Cheers.
Cheers to the ball bag.
TNA, cheers to the ball bag.
Hell yeah.
Palma loves it.
Mm-hmm. You know you love it, Palma. But, yeah, this podcast is a huge family affair. We're doing a family podcast where our mom's the voice of the podcast. Our cousin wrote, edited the music, mixed, mastered, produced, and we're at our brother's restaurant today.
Yeah, so I'm on a podcast hosted by my brother at the restaurant, hosted by my other brother. And I'm going to do a podcast with the four of them with all of my brothers. So it's a family affair for sure.
Yeah. Well, baseball runs deep in our family.
Yeah. It's like the main memories of my life are stemmed from baseball.
Yeah, like that was a huge part of our upbringing. And like going back to our childhood, one story I want to talk about is Karen's friend Kyle.
Kyle, yes.
Kyle. He got it.
Legendary.
Yeah, he got a huge piece of humble pie back when...
Set up the story, yeah.
Yeah, when we were kids.
Yeah.
And like, he wanted to face you because he thought he could take you deep.
I want to say I was about 12, and Kieran and Kyle are the same age, right? So that makes Kyle about 15, I think.
Yeah.
So, Kieran comes to me one day saying how Kyle's, hit these home runs in these different leagues, and how Kyle thought he could take me deep, essentially, right? And then... we were all a little suspicious of Kyle's story because I seen him swing a bat,
We've heard some of Kyle's stories, too.
I hope to have Kyle on. I want to see his recollection of this story.
I'll get to that later after your story.
Okay.
I'll get to that later. So, anyway, finish the story.
So, I remember Kieran driving us down, or it might have been Kyle driving us down at the time. We drove down to that baseball field by, Lake Clark Shores, and you can kind of just walk on the field. But you'd get hitting lessons there with Boosty and stuff. Just meet you at the ballpark. And, so the gates were always open. We'd go there and we're like, all right, today's the day, So, back in my younger days, I pitched. I threw hard for my age at the time. And, every kid tries a curveball and a knuckleball, and you mess with all the pitches. Yeah. And you're watching the guys on TV throw them, so you want to throw all these things, So I threw every pitch I could think of, and Kyle just – I don't think he was within a foot of a ball the whole time. So, I think that was a little piece of humble pie, like you said.
Yeah, and going back to that story, Kyle did learn his lesson because we have one friend in our gaming circle, and he played some sports growing up, but he never played baseball. And Ryan talked about on his episode, it's those twitch muscles, and when you don't have them, you look like an idiot when you try to swing.
Right away, yeah.
Even watch videos of other pro athletes, they look kind of stupid. And this guy never played baseball in his life, and he's like, oh, yeah, I could take on a collegiate level baseball player.
Okay.
And then Kieran was like, dude, you couldn't handle someone in 12U travel ball.
Yeah, I mean, it's like one of those things like golf. Like the ball's just sitting there and on TV.
You got to have that skill for it.
Oh, yeah, it looks easy because, the ball's sitting there in golf, you hit it, and nobody's throwing it at you, but there's so much more to the game. Now you have so many different elements in baseball. There's the fans, there's just being able to see and hit it, the most simple form of it. And
baseball gets a rap of not being physically demanding enough, but that's total crap because there's no other sport where you play more games and it wears on your body that much.
Here's it. You could go get anybody that can throw a basketball and they could eventually make a three-pointer, right? Anybody that could throw it that distance would eventually make a three-pointer. No, you can't just eventually hit a 90-mile-an-hour fastball.
Yeah.
Unless the pitcher throws it at your bat,
And I was listening to a podcast, and Dexter Fowler was on it. Remember him? He was on the Cubs World Series team in 16. And he was saying, in other sports, you take a good shot in basketball, perfect spin, rotation, everything, it's always a three-pointer. You get good wood on a ball, you're not always getting a hit. Exactly.
Yeah, that's one of the most frustrating things. I dealt with that a lot my freshman year of college. My batting average was pretty terrible. I think I ended up hitting 240 or something, but I felt a lot better than my average showed. I struck out more than I should have, but I was hitting a lot of hard outs, and it's the most frustrating thing.
I do that in men's league,
and you could flick one off the wrist and have a knock all day,
Yeah, then you get a swinging bunt up the third base line.
Yeah, baseball has no rhyme or reason, really.
Yeah, and that's why you have to learn how to control your psyche through those times too.
Yeah, and then there's the romantic part of it, like this thing I just saw with Trey Turner. I played against him.
Hey, Trey Turner, another local
exactly,
kid.
Park Vista guy
from our area, Park Vista by Ravish Kitchen and Cocktails.
Yep. Park Vista alum. I played like half a season of Post 164. I got cut in 8th grade there. He played a little bit there. Played against him in high school, and then he goes on, has a great college career. Signs this huge contract, and then just a few nights ago, you see this Phillies organization build this guy up. He's having a rough year. I don't know how he was doing defensively. I just started looking into it because the story got popular. But he was batting 240, struggling.
He wasn't hitting like himself. And especially after the World Baseball Classic.
After that big home run there in the World Baseball Classic, big contract, it's really tough.
I actually saw a funny meme. It was Trey Turner when he puts on a USA baseball uniform, and it was Barry Bonds roided like this. Dude, he had forearms the size of normal people's quads.
He had that kind of series, and man, it was a lot of fun to watch. And so then he's having this pretty tough year, and Philly fans are historically pretty rough. They booed Santa out of the sun. The stadium or something I saw.
There were stories about Evan Longoria's wife. Her name was Eva, and he's a rookie in 08, and they're shouting Eva.
Oh, rough.
They haze players hard.
So it was just cool to see. If I have the story right, he the crowd cheered him into existence, and he hit a game-winning home run or something, and then a few days later, he buys a billboard in Philly of him after he hits the shot, looking back at the crowd, and he's like, thanks, Philly, and now he's batting 345 or something the last 6 games, 7 games or something like that. It's just the romance in baseball. It's cool to see.
And that's also why I hate when fans boo their players, and I get people say you have the right to do it, you're making a lot of money, but it's if you're invested in this player, why are you going to boo him when times are tough? Because it's only going to make it worse. That's dumb, and Yankee fans do that so much.
Yankee fans are notorious.
I'm a Yankees fan. So you can take it with a grain of salt, but you're fucking dumb.
Yeah,
you're so dumb for doing that.
Imagine somebody was doing that at your job. Nobody wants that.
You're going to not work for that boss anymore. You're going to want to leave that organization. That's what drives players away.
And baseball can be such a streaky game, just like what just happened there. He's batting 245 all year.
And like we were just saying, you could be hitting the ball well, but not getting good results because that's part of the game.
It's tough. It's really tough. But if you're hitting the ball well, that's what I listened to Sean Casey on a podcast. He was talking.
He sent me that.
That was great.
Now he's the hitting coach of the Yankees.
I know, and it's just he talks so much about the mental game and reading these books, and I had a flashback.
I actually bought that book, The Mental Game of Baseball by Harvey Dorfman.
See, I had never heard that one. I never read the Ted Williams one. I wish I had that.
I didn't know Harvey Dorfman was such a prominent figure in the professional baseball world.
Neither did I.
Because also, I feel baseball players were very stubborn to get psychiatric help, but it's the most
because they're
involved.
They're all taking greenies back in the 70s. Yeah. They're all gigged out on amphetamines. Doc Ellis. I just watched his documentary for the first time, and he's like, I don't think I ever pitched a game sober. I don't even remember playing for the Yankees. I was like, geez, what a wild existence, man. But you got to think, it's such a what people don't understand about baseball. I think it's 162 games in 180 days, right? Mm-hmm. So it's physically demanding. You're flying all the time. You're supposed to be eating right. A lot of these guys are young and single, have a lot of money. Yeah. They want to party, so there's an element of that, and then being. I heard Sean Casey say on the podcast he was talking to Scott Rowland at the All-Star game. Yeah. So he's talking to Scott Rowland. He's looking at Albert Pujols. And he's like, how's Albert Pujols? We're all All-Stars, but he's just a little bit different, And he's like, it'll be the dead heat of July, game 150. We're down by 10 runs, and he's locked in every pitch, and that's what it takes. And it's
that's tough to do.
I wish I had heard that when I was a player, because I'd never thought about it like that. At the time, I was trying to the best I could. I read that Mind Gym book, but I didn't have those other books,
Yeah, and now Pujols was a freak of nature. I remember a story with Carlos Pena talking about him, and Pujols, he hit a hard line drive down the right field line, because it's more down the line. It was a double. It was a single, and then he gets to first, and he just ripped a single, and then he goes up to Carlos Pena. He's like, man, my swing's just not feeling right. I feel like I'm not on the ball. And then Carlos Pena looks up at the scoreboard, and he's hitting 350.
Yeah, it's that thing that makes these elite guys like him and Jeter just so much more above elite. It's the consistent
their preparation's on another level, and another thing with baseball is the anticipation, because when you're not hitting. You don't obviously you want to play the next day, but you don't.
Right? Yeah,
you're just I just need to get a hit. And you're pressing,
especially
so
if
hard.
you're in a slump, or you're especially these guys that have a contract year coming up or something like that, or you just got sent down. It's got to be like you have to be very mentally tough. To do that for 20 years, like Pujols and Jeter and guys like that.
Yeah, I mean, I hate when people say they're stat collecting playing for 20 years because
I've never even heard that until today.
Yeah, no, people say stat collecting. They said that about Omar Vizquel on his, because remember he was chasing 3,000 for a while. I mean, he played till he was 45, but it's like, dude, how many people can play till they're 45?
I don't remember specifically how good he was at the end of his career, but Omar Vizquel is Omar Vizquel, man.
Yeah, one of the greatest defenders of all time.
The smoothest, man. Oh, him and Roberto Alomar back in the day.
But anyway, let's bring it back into your baseball.
Oh,
journey.
Me.
Yeah, it's about you. But the thing is, from everything we just talked about, you learn from all these guys you ingest. You take that preparation in, and like a big part of, like I talked about in my solo episode, I had Ryan on. He was kind of like the guy who brought baseball into our household,
right.
And like the whole family followed suit. So like he coached me a lot, and like I've been honest on the podcast too. Like looking back at it, I wasn't a very good player in like my early childhood, but Ryan helped turn me around to like make me a good baseball player like through high school.
Yeah,
so,
yeah.
How do you feel like he helped you growing up?
Well, I remember being around Ryan was just a good thing because he immersed himself in baseball like 100%. So then, like, I kind of took the same approach, but you hit these different gears. At least this is how I felt going. Like my childhood baseball career to the end of it, it was. Like you hit these gears where you're a kid and you learn the fundamentals, right? And then you understand what the outs are and what base to throw to and what tagging up is and all the specifics of the game. And then I hit this gear of being like a baseball historian, watching all these documentaries and learning Lou Gehrig.
No, that's because like I feel like
it's a foundation.
I feel like that for me was my sophomore year of high school because I was like that as like one of the more guys on the team, and that kind of changed like my mindset, like how I prepared.
As far as what?
Just like about like being invested on getting better, finding out what it takes to be better, to get to the next level. Like those things, like you're saying, it just kicks you into another gear that, like, you're saying you might not have been locked in. That locked me in. Right.
And different, just learning different information from different guys, like going to different camps. One piece of information can change your career, and I can tell that story when we get there to my college career. There's one thing
we'll
a guy told me.
When we get to your college career.
But yeah, I just remember Ryan getting like fully immersed in it, and everybody wants to do what their brother does. And then I'm like, baseball is really cool, and we're starting off playing tennis ball baseball in the front yard. And I remember Ryan hitting a line drive lefty off the garage. Just he put a dent in the garage of the neighbor's house across the street, and I was like, I'm gonna fucking put a dent in the garage and across the street, and then and then I just wanted to play with Ryan, and Amherst would come over, and Ryan got so excited about baseball that he would like call Amherst and be like, "Hey, I mowed the grass today, so the ball's gonna travel better when we like." He was like, so he wanted to make a nice baseball field in the front yard, and then that's all we did. That's all we ever did, except for Ryan. Ryan played. He liked to follow more than me. I was only a baseball guy. Ryan would follow football and basketball. Yeah. And in the neighborhood, we would play whatever sport was in the season.
Like, when we went over to our grandparents, I remember we played a lot of games of like backyard football. Everything. We did a lot of backyard baseball. We played war.
War, yeah. All those
that caused the most arguments. Shooting imaginary bullets at each other.
Imaginary bullets. Go figure. Nobody's going to win. Yeah.
No wonder everyone's fighting at the end.
But playing those other sports like football, learning how to you make a diving catch in the backyard. That's like what outfielders do. It's these twitch muscles and playing basketball and being able to juke a guy and having these quick things help in baseball.
Yeah, it's cross-pollination.
Exactly.
And I listened to a podcast. It was like Neil deGrasse Tyson. He was telling a story about like the reason we have like wireless power cables is because of space travel, because we had to like from like that sense, like there's no fucking wall plug in space.
Sure, yeah.
So you have to like figure out how to create the technology. Mm-hmm. So it's like putting yourself in a different circumstance is going to force your brain to work in different ways.
Right, exactly. Yeah. That makes complete sense. I remember our music teacher telling me that. It was like, I can't remember why, but it's like if you play music, it makes you smarter. It unlocks these things in your brain.
It works different halves of your brain and like different like.
And also, you're getting your mind and your hands to kind of correlate, and that happens in baseball too. Your mind and your hands need to correlate if you're going to hit or catch or throw.
Yeah, and like what's funny is like when I look back at some like the better moments of my playing career, it was all reactionary.
Yeah, you don't even remember it hardly. Like if you
like, I remember like what happened, but
but it's effortless.
But like when the ball came at me when I was hitting or pitching, I just remember my body's like fire here,
right?
Because it's all that practice, and like
there's no time to think.
And like when I coached, I tried telling the kids like, we practice for a reason. When you're in the game, you're not working on anything. You're playing.
No,
that's what all that works
game time.
It's to get your body, your mind, that reactionary muscle in shape.
I agree 100%. Yeah, absolutely.
So let's go through, like, take me through, like, I guess, kid pitch years into high school.
Okay.
That's a very big moment for people, too, when they
so
play.
I started playing at 7 years old at Lantana, which is now Chick-fil-A. So they don't play baseball there anymore.
Well, they actually built fields behind it. I actually ran into Boosty one day back there.
I didn't even, that was so bizarre. Then the clay infields, too, I hate that.
Yeah.
I hated clay infield. But yeah, we started there. I think all the Giffin boys started there. And that's where I actually met old Willie Bob behind the camera. I played for...
Willie Bob. He's got all the nicknames.
I remember I played for, I think, Stephen Colon was my first team on the Yankees. And I played, I want to say 2 or 3 years there. Then I went with John Akmoudi. And that's where I think I met Willie Bob and his son, Shane Akmoudi. And so I played like 2 years, from 7 to 9. That was organized baseball. All before then, I didn't do T-ball or coach pitch. It was just tennis ball, baseball with you guys, and Aramis and all of them. And then, so I had like a certain, like, it was my first time. So I was better than the guys who were going out there for the first time, you know? So I made the All-Star team both years, and I was like, okay, cool. And then Danny Moreno's dad approached our dad and was like, hey, do you want to play for the Bulldogs in East Boynton? And Mom was like, no, and Dad was like, yeah. So then I ended up started playing travel ball right off the rip, and kind of doing that whole circuit at Dick Brown and all the ones we play high school ball at now, and all the littler fields.
And our men's league still does all
that.
Yeah.
And then I ended up playing at Wellington, where the Olympia is. I played at Okahili, did All Stars there. And then from All Stars there, I played another. Different Bulldogs, went to Cooperstown. I know you remember that. We all took a family vacation for that.
That was really cool.
I hit a home run there that none of my parents saw because they were catching bass.
I told that story on one pod. Oh, yeah, that's right. I won't dive into that story, but anyway, I told that story, and then like one of my buddies was like, he's like, oh, so because I was like, who was it, like Burke or what, like. Who's the dad? Yeah, the dad.
It was Kalen Jacobs' dad.
And then he called Dad and he left a voicemail. He's like,
I remember hearing him call Dad as I'm rounding first base. He's like, Ben, where are you? Your boy just hit a home run, and I'm like, wait, Dad's not here? We flew to New York. And then him and Greg and Kim, I don't remember if you went, but they all went. They're like, man, we killed the bass today.
Yeah, Cooperstown was a fun time, seeing the baseball museum and everything.
Man, yeah, and then I had seen it a few times after that, and it's cool every time you're on there.
You have a different perspective every time you roll in, too.
Yeah, so I got to hit a home run there, so that was cool.
And they write down your name in the books, too.
Yeah, they write your name down so you're forever a guy that hit a home run in Cooperstown. We didn't, like, make it really far or nothing, but I played on a all-star team from Okahili that Dylan Boyard and his dad ran that we ended up going to Cooperstown for, came back. You go to the bigger field at Okahili, and then I started playing with the Renegades with Ryan Church and Raymond Church, and I played with them, and then I ended up playing with Ryan through college, through high school. Yeah. So like from 12, 14 years old, Renegades, all the way, that's a long time to play with a guy,
Yeah.
And then college years.
Yeah, so like, I feel like high school was, especially for me, like I said, that was the time where I locked it in. So like, did you find yourself like, you're watching games more intently. You're like, how do I use my hips to hit the ball farther? Like,
so yeah, this is what I was getting at when I was saying
where the obsession grows much more.
Shifting gears, like my first obsession was like learning all the specifics of the game and playing the video games and collecting baseball cards and like just fully immersing yourself in that. Like I don't think I ever learned anything in school ever. Like the only student I ever was a student of baseball. That's all I ever cared about, and I had to start learning things after that ended, obviously. But
yeah.
But my obsession it shifted in high school to like how do you become a better player now? So all right, I know the game and how it works. Now how can I perform at the highest level? So it's Ryan talking about Josh Bell waking up in the middle of the night and eating a peanut butter and jelly. So I was like, I'm going to wake up in the middle of the night and have a weight gaining protein shake.
I started doing that when you told me that too.
Yeah, so see that trickled down. Then I started.
I think my sleep schedule's still messed up from it.
Yeah,
those 3 protein shakes,
1,000 calories at 2 a.m. and then wake up and eat breakfast. So it became an obsession like that. Like I was a freshman, I was 124 pounds. I graduated, I think, at 165, 170, somewhere around there. So the work got put in, and then I was like starting to see results, And I remember my junior year of high school, we're playing fall ball, and I I'm kind of struggling a little bit, and I had met this guy Logan Denon, who's at Bucky Dent School. Remember when they used to do that?
Yeah,
they had that Bucky, and it changed names or something.
Yeah, now it's like Elevate.
Yeah,
that's the last thing I remember it being. But it was like it was like a local school down here where it's kind of like a boarding school mostly for people to play baseball, and then high school aged players play collegiate level players.
Right. So I met this guy from like Delaware who came down, and he's got full access. He's got full access to Bucky Dent. They have lights in the batting cage. And I'm driving Kieran's little Del Sol down there every day, hitting off the tee. We're taking ground balls. I'm just trying everything I can because I was struggling. I thought I was going to get cut, you know?
Yeah.
And then it just so happened like the whole team was struggling, and I'm putting all this work in, and then I'm lighting it up. It's just you go through one of these streaks, you know, and I start lighting up. The work's paying off, and you know, start feeling happy about it. And there's this one game at John I. Leonard after a fall ball game. Franco's all mad. He comes, throws his helmet down, coming to the after thing meeting, you know, we're not doing this, we're not doing that, and this, and then he was like, the only guy that's doing anything is Giffin. And I was like, oh, fuck, thank God, dude. I thought I was getting cut, you know, and I probably would have got cut if I wasn't hitting, because I wasn't playing well, you know. And then I was like, he said my name, I'm going to make the team, right? It has to mean that. That's what I was thinking. And then you go check your name on the thing in front of the gym.
Yeah, it was in front of the gym
I'm like,
every
holy
time.
Shit, did I fucking make the team?
Yeah, like one cool moment I had like that, like in the high school years. So my junior year, I was the only player who was not a senior to start a game pitching. Do you remember? Did you come to that game when I pitched at American Heritage?
I think I did, yeah. I was at that one, yeah. I was at the Boca one.
For the rest of that season, only seniors started the game besides me. So that was pretty cool. Like, I got the call for that. I pitched well. I finished that year. Like, I looked back at my stats. They were so fucking stupid. I had, like, a 2 whip, but, like, a 2.2 ERA.
Nice.
So, like, everyone got on base, but no one scored.
I remember you being in so many stressful spots, but you throw that little weird shit fucking forkball or whatever.
I throw my splitter. Like, even when we play catch.
What were you throwing back then? What was your...
I just threw a fastball, curveball, splitter, but...
No
like,
changeup? What kind of curveball were you throwing?
12-6.
Yeah. Did you grip it on, like, where the shoe is and you come down?
Yeah, so, like, it's like a 2-seam this way. I gripped it on the right side and threw it out, like,
from
kind
over
of
the
cupping
top?
it over the top.
Yeah.
And because I feel like what helped me is, like, I'm a shorter, wiry guy. I don't weigh a lot, but I had strength to my stature. So I feel like I just got a lot of spin on the ball. And, like,
your ball's weird.
Yeah, I have terrible mechanics, so the ball moved weird. So
yeah, I mean, dude,
that might have been a lot
of it. I caught you recently, and you throw harder than I think you ever did.
No, I do now because like now like I'm 160. Like I just got into like weightlifting and getting in better shape.
That's
for myself.
The weird thing too is like,
but like we take all that stuff from our playing days. Like I learned how to weightlift and do all this,
and that transfers
because of baseball
right into real life,
and it helped me in my adult life.
Yeah, because you know how to lift weights properly. You know what at least basic nutrition is because you're trying to become a better athlete.
And like I know when I go into like my workplace, I want to be better than this guy next to me.
Of course, yeah. What baseball does is it like puts this thing in you of work ethic and determination if you get bit by the bug or if you choose to chase that, you know? And then
and like that's even one thing with this podcast. Like I want to make this the best I can make it and the most fun I can make it.
It's been great so far. Everybody's glowing. Everybody's been awesome. I've listened to every episode and I'm happy to be on. I want to do probably another one. Hopefully people don't get tired of me, you know?
Oh, dude, like, everyone who comes on is allowed to come back on. But we'll get back into that more later. Really quick, a word from our sponsor, Ravish Kitchen and Cocktails. Like we said at the beginning of the episode, our brother Ryan owns it. They got one of the best happy hours in town. It's a beautiful spot. Great place to go out for date night, get a dinner, and all that. Like, how has your experience been at Ravish?
It's high class.
Yeah.
Beautiful place, great food. Bring your friends and family. Yeah,
and you're close to the water. It's a great spot to go any night, you know, downtown.
Another thing is this is local business here. So,
support your local business, too.
We were talking about this family-oriented kind of podcast with him and Ryan. And Ryan is a Santa Lucia's person. His partner's a Santa Lucia's person. Ryan threw a thing for Franco here. It's just very... Yeah,
it comes back to family and baseball. And, like, you know, when Ryan came in the studio, like, so we have this guy running the board. His name's Andrew. And, like... Ryan gave him a gift card to Ravish just for running the board.
Yeah, that's awesome.
And, like, I really appreciated that, too, for Andrew, because, like, he's staying there to help me out and do me a favor since we work for the same company. So this is a very family-oriented business. And, like, we even found another sponsor, Bitcoin Cash Podcast. This guy named Jeremy, really cool dude, reached out to me. And, like, a lot of things that we learned, like, life's ever-changing, and so is finance. And, like, Bitcoin Cash is like becoming like a predominant like, you know, way to value the dollar now.
Right.
Spend it any place you go, buy yourself some new baseball equipment. Like it all comes back full circle. And, thank you guys so much for sponsoring this podcast. And Jeremy,
Bitcoin Cash is accepted here.
Yeah, Bitcoin Cash is accepted here. And, Jeremy, thank you for taking a shot on me. He watched a couple of my episodes. He's from the UK. He doesn't know as much about baseball as we do, but he was invested in me because of Ryan.
That's amazing. And so, you're investing in good people and local business. What's better than that?
Yeah, have the friends and family you can trust backing you up through your endeavors.
Couldn't agree more.
And then, all right, now back to the rest of the podcast.
All right. I want to say something about the podcast. So I've listened to every episode, like I said, right? And I think what's really cool is we were talking about how those different things I heard on Sean Casey's podcast and these other MLB guys that go on there and it's really cool to see a ex-pro's perspective, But what I think is cool and unique about this podcast is guys like me and Ryan, who's we had a baseball career and it was a huge part of our life, but it didn't essentially go anywhere. You know? So these people have a way to talk about the average guy.
Yeah, and one thing my girlfriend said, Grace, she was like, you don't have to play in the big leagues to have a story.
No, everybody's got one. Everybody you have on has had one.
And they have
even if you played one game, somebody could tell you about it.
They have something wildly interesting.
Of course. Everybody takes something different away from it, I think.
Yeah. So where do you want to pick up back at? Do you want to go back to your college career now?
Sure,
So, how'd that transition from high school baseball to finding your way up to SUNY Canton, basically Canada?
So, I'm playing high school ball. Junior year, I was batting 500 through 14 at-bats. I'm not really getting my at-bats. Franco has his senior guys he likes, So then I got my shot every so often. I would get some tough at-bats, pinch hitting, sometimes pull through, sometimes not, But
pinch hitting is the worst.
Yeah, it's really tough. But so then senior year, I could have had a better senior year. It was... I don't know. I just didn't hit the groove. I've always been a streaky player. I could be really hot, and I was hoping it was during baseball season, during high school ball. Because at that time, I'm playing with Kyle Smith, who's getting heavily recruited. Right,
he was kind of like the Josh Bell
of my era, of St. Lucius. So all these scouts are coming. I remember we're playing the St. Lucius Slam, and then all these different teams.
Yeah, so the St. Lucius Slam. So we bring in every high school from around the area. It's a huge radius, up to Jupiter, down to how far south was it? Almost Fort Lauderdale.
A lot of different
teams from that area. They hosted a tournament, and it was heavy on scouting. And this was after our preseason, so we got thrown right into it.
There was a bunch of guys.
2 preseason games, then the Slam tournament.
Yeah, there was a bunch of guys getting recruited at the time. I can't name all of them, but heavy for us was Kyle Smith, right? So they'd come out. We're playing American Heritage. He's pitching. He got hit pretty hard, but at people, so no runs scored. Yeah, whatever. But a bunch of scouts were there. I remember it's a Slam, so the scouts were there. Everybody's ready to gun with their books and their clipboards and their what. Yeah,
they're not looking as much as the outcome as the tools.
No, yeah. So they're looking at that, and then so we come up to bat, and I hit a 2-run double, and I slide in a second. I look up, and nobody's there. They had gone to recruit another guy, and I was like, God, I want one look. Just let me hit a double in front of somebody.
I actually have a really funny story. I haven't told this one on the podcast yet. So it was after my senior year, one of my buddies who went on to play college at Kaiser, and he ended up playing a season of like I was saying, he played a season at Kaiser, and then he was going in the South Florida Collegiate Baseball League. And then he was like, hey, Giff, the team's looking for pitchers. Do you want to join? And I was like, you know what? Why not? I don't have a lot of responsibility yet. Why not take another shot at chasing the dream?
Yeah.
So, I ended up playing a game at Lynn University, and this guy's there. He's specifically looking for, bodies to fill on his staff or, whatever it was.
Maybe somebody who throws sidearm or something weird.
Yeah, just someone for something. And then, anyway, I ended up, he's there. I talked to him before the game. And then, I talked to him because, the way the summer schedule worked was this guy pitches this inning, this inning, this inning.
This is a Lynn coach, or who's this guy?
I don't even remember.
Okay,
this was this was 6 years ago. But he was a college baseball coach. And, how in summer baseball, it's this guy throws up to the 4th inning, and, obviously, depending on how the guy's pitching. But anyway, it gets to the 9th inning. I watch him walk away from the field as I go into pitch, and I get a 1-2-3 inning, get the save, and strike out the last guy looking on an inside fastball.
You're just man, if somebody could just...
I know, and, and what's funny is that was after a year off. I had no college looks, no nothing, and then the catcher comes up to me. And
you could have played somewhere.
I could have, but I didn't want the student debt.
Yeah, no.
But anyway, the catcher comes up to me. He's like, "Bro, you located that ball fucking perftly." And I was throwing the low mid-70s, but with a lot of jump to it.
Same repertoire from high school.
Yeah, same repertoire.
Yeah.
I didn't change anything.
Throwing harder.
Probably, but what's funny is like one of our other dudes who came out, he's like, "How do you get so many people out? Do you throw a sinker?" I was like, "No, I throw a 4-seam fastball."
Yeah, but your ball's weird, man. It's got some. You almost got like a pronation. It doesn't necessarily.
A lot of people say they thought it was a 2-seam, but like that was just kind of cool. Like that's kind of where I hang my hat on. Was like I know like how limited I was talent wise, but I was able to hang with some of the bigger boys.
Yeah, man, and I think you're selling yourself short a little bit. I've seen you play. I mean, I think what happened.
I feel like I've always had a more negative outlook on myself than I should have.
Yeah, probably. But I think what was interesting about your career is like you were super versatile, right?
I went from catching to playing short to pitching. Like I was.
We're all different players.
Yeah, like you were more of like first baseman, outfield. Ryan was a catcher. Kiernan made cameos.
Yeah,
I was kind of like super utility. Like, coach, you put me somewhere, I'm gonna work my ass off to be there.
Man, yeah, like if I had a good arm, I wanted to play third base, but like I had like the throwing yips for a while. Like it's crazy now I'll throw and I like better than I ever have. It's like a total mental block. But
I feel like I became a better player when I started playing men's league because like the stress isn't there. Like you're not worried about making a lineup.
I had a different outlook on the men's league thing. I was like, all right, I just got out of baseball. I don't know anything except for that. So
keep going.
I don't know anything except for that. So shit, I got lost when I walked in.
So you're saying on the men's league outlook?
Oh yeah, on the men's league thing, I put everything in. I had this thing. I don't know anything about real life, So like I had this bitter thing about baseball, and then I was like, if I remember this one time specifically. I was when I was done with college. I was like, like I said, I didn't know anything. My GPA was garbage, but I was like, man, I've never hit so good in my life. I want to play at a bigger school, maybe do like an independent ball thing.
Well, leading into that story, talk about the transition from your freshman year to your sophomore year, because your hitting stats exploded. Like your average went up 110 points.
Yeah, so
I don't care what you're hitting, you go up 110 points. I don't care if you're hitting 0, you go from 0 to 110. That's a huge adjustment.
No, and another thing happened too is I hit 4 home runs, and I hadn't hit a home run. The last home run I hit was at Santa Lucia's on that backfield in BP my junior year, and then before that it was in Cooperstown. Like I wasn't a home run guy, but I started lifting. Freshman year, I had a lot of hard outs. I could hit a ball off the fence, hit something in the gap, something like that. So my freshman year, I come down and I played for this. I forget the name of the league or whatever, but it was out of Lynn University, and there was this guy who was like some like late draft Marlins guy, coached at Lynn, played at Lynn, real baseball guy, like loved baseball, talked baseball with the best of them. I wish I could remember his name. But my friends who listen to this will make fun of me because he told me this one thing, and that's all I ever talked about my whole sophomore year was he was like, you got to look for shit up. And I was like, what? Nobody had it. I don't even know what that. What are you talking about? He's like, balls that are down are supposed to be hit on the ground. That's not the kind of hitter you are. I'm not legging out singles. So he's like, if a curveball is going to be I was striking out a lot. He's like, if a curveball is going to be a strike, it's got to start up. And if a fastball is up, it's fucking up. Smash it. And I was like, oh my God. So now that was my only approach. That was it. I didn't have like a look fastball away, react in. I was like, if anything's up, I'm swinging.
Yeah.
And I was a very aggressive early in the count guy. Mm-hmm. And so I got in the box every time, just looking at the pitcher, look for shit up. Is it up? Is it up? Is it up? Nope. Not mine.
For me, it kind of worked on looking for things in. Because I did some slap hitting, but like, I had more pop than I realized. Like I could burn some outfielders.
Yeah.
But like when I looked for stuff in, I felt like it kept me like more on time with the ball as opposed to shooting it.
Were you having like an inside out approach?
Yeah, I naturally hit more inside out. But when I looked for stuff in, I felt like it kind of like got my hips going a little more. And like I didn't get beat by the inside fastball instead of like shooting it through the 4-hole.
I love an inside fastball.
Yeah.
I love an inside fastball, dude. Oh, man.
But naturally now, even like playing in men's league, my swing works better like hitting something, like looking for something outside. Because I feel like at this point now,
full
like
extension.
I've changed my swing a little more. I learned more about hitting. It's full extension.
Yeah, so my freshman year, I'm batting like 230 some odd something, striking out a lot. Hitting balls hard though,
but But how did defense help you out through that?
So, actually, my freshman year, I won the Defensive Player of the Year award. My sophomore year, my last year, I won Offensive Player of the Year. So, like, I flip-flopped, And not that I, like, played that, but I didn't play bad defensively. It was just...
If you can only do one thing, just pick it.
Yeah. So, and that's what I did. I couldn't throw. My glove was great. It was weird, man. Like, every so often, it wasn't that I couldn't throw well enough. It was just erratic in my head. But like I could unleash one from the outfield every so often, right on a dime. I could every so often. It was like a miracle. But
praying on hanging some laundry.
Yeah, So my sophomore year, we come down to Florida from upstate New York, and all I'm doing is thinking about the last year. I'm like, man, my batting average doesn't reflect exactly like I said, I struck out a lot, but my batting average wasn't reflecting the hard balls I hit, so it was very frustrating.
Yeah.
And then so we have a first game in Florida, man, just down in the dumps. I like squibbed one. I probably went like 0 for 3. I can't remember exactly. And we get into this the last inning of the game, and my boy Chris Jones plays second base in Canton all 4 years. He also gave you a fake ID. Cheers to Jonesy.
Yeah. Hey, hang on, real quick for Jonesy.
Jonesy.
I'm sure I still got it at home somewhere.
So it was something like we're home team. It's last inning. Guys on third. Jonesy hits like one of these like choppers through the 4-hole walk off. 4-hole shot.
I remember you told me about Jonesy's hitting career.
Oh yeah, I'm like, fuck Jonesy.
Jonesy, like, what was your best hit today? Catcher's block.
I was like, damn, Jonesy, you gotta hit a ball hard. But so that game ends. It's a doubleheader. So our second game in, I'm thinking I'm not going to start because like I batted .235 as a freshman, and then my sophomore year, like I could take a BP. It was all the signs of good things, but the numbers weren't there, know. So then it's the top 7, second game of the doubleheader. I'm 0 for the day, really really mad, and just put all this work in the off season, and like I'm like, man, I hope the results finally show for all this effort I'm putting in. And Kevin, my boy Kevin Hill, playing third base for us, he gets into this. I think there's a guy like on second and third, something like that. Kevin gets into like this 15 pitch at bat. Kevin is like he's like 200-pound strong guy, but like an inside out. He'll strike one in the gap, like, but he should be hitting bombs. But he's just like super defensive hitter, 12, 13, 14 pitch at bat or whatever. And then I look back at the dugout, and our pitching coach Jody Johnson, he's like, "It's gonna be you, Giff." And I was like, "Okay." He ends up walk up to the plate, get in the box, look for shit up. First pitch fastball, boom! I hit like 340 to the left, and then I'm rounding second base, and I see Dad like doing a somersault over the fence, going to get the ball. That was like the highlight of my baseball career because it happened to be my birthday too.
Yeah,
it was just like
it all worked out.
One
on the
of
same
those,
day.
like I said earlier, one of those romance baseball things that it was just
like I told this story on the podcast before. Like my most romantic moment came when Mom and Dad were there, and it was at the time when Dad was commuting from Orlando, and remember he'd come down on the weekend to watch our games.
Yeah.
He watched me get a hit that gave us the lead against Park Vista against the guy who ended up getting drafted in the 4th round by the Dodgers.
Against Park Vista,
and we ended up losing the game.
Career highlight, though, right?
Yeah, but like that's the thing about baseball is like while I was pissed that we lost, but I was so glad like Mom and Dad got to see that moment.
Yeah. I mean, like, how many games have they been to? It's nice to get some highlights.
And watching the guys running out of the dugout, like losing their mind, and like granted our team chemistry wasn't always the best, but it's just like those moments like mean so much.
Oh man, and you never forget them. We're talking about them right now.
Yeah, I know. Like that happened when I was 18 and I'm 25 now.
You think Franco's ever going to forget his almost home run cycle or whatever it was? I mean, that's career day, man.
Yeah, we talked about a story on the podcast.
I love that story. I thought it was a legend. I didn't know that it was real because I asked him about it one time in high school and he kind of like smirked it off.
Yeah, I feel like he had a too cool for school as varsity coach. I don't know. I couldn't imagine being a varsity coach. You got to deal with a bunch of kids.
Yeah, man.
They can be a nightmare.
I'm hearing the talent pool in the high school around here has changed. It's all travel now, right?
Yeah, I mean, when I coached this last year, I thought we had a good team.
Oh yeah,
there's still talent at the varsity level, but it's like rec ball is like kind of useless.
Yeah, I mean they put a Chick-fil-A there instead of a baseball field. So.
Yeah, they tucked away the baseball field. Hey, get God's food, not his game.
Exactly.
Yeah. So I don't know, like. So why'd you end up hanging it up after your sophomore year? Because you exploded and came into your own.
Yeah, it was one of those things where like I had the best year I had in my life. Like I said,
never want to do it again.
Never wouldn't want to do it again.
We're gonna quote 61 so many times on this podcast. I might as well put a link to that somewhere in the description.
Home run and pop fives, Nathan Lynch, Pat.
Yeah, that's what she said.
Roger. You'll see. You gotta watch the movie.
Yeah, all of you have to watch the movie. Do your homework. Billy Crystal.
It was one of these things where I had played since I was 7 till like 22, and I wanted to play at a bigger level, and it was like, all right, what am I going to just bang around these college places and spend all this money on? Like I said, I don't think I ever learned anything in school ever, like other than baseball. So my GPA was garbage, and I was like, college ain't for me, And then how else do I play baseball? I come home, I'm like, all right, how do you get to like indie ball? What is that? And I think it's easier now to like Google stuff and figure out ways.
Yeah.
Because there wasn't a network of guys that I knew doing that.
Yeah, like indie ball, like the Black Sox and out of Santa Lucius, they play out of there. They're an indie ball team. They've been around for a little bit.
How's the talent level though? How do you know what the talent level is?
I don't even know. I know occasionally you get some guys that run through that are pretty good, but it's like, that's also where like baseball is changing. It's like indie ball is almost a better alternative because minor league baseball players got treated like shit for the longest time.
Yeah.
Like they make $1,300 a season, and you got to pay for rent and all your bills and have a summer job.
Your
but
signing bonus is supposed to last you the entirety of your.
But if you're a 20th round draft pick, you might as well go play indie ball because at least they're going to house you for free with a family.
Yeah, so I didn't know anything about that. I remember this one specific day. I'm at that UFIT over by our house on was it UFIT, Lantana, and
Lake Worth
and Jog.
Yeah,
I'm in there and I'm thinking about how I'm going about to do this, and the only thing I know that I need to do is lift weights. So I'm going there and I'm about to like deadlift 315, and I get it up for one, and I like lock it out, and I'm like, fuck this, dude, like. I don't even know where to go. Like, I'm going to pull this weight with no goal. I didn't even know where to go. And I kind of was just like, you know what? I need to figure something out. So I get a job at Tijuana Flats, like the first place that would hire me.
No food waste.
No
food waste.
Food costs there. But
food costs.
You can feel good about eating there. The kitchen's really clean. And they make you stay really late.
They actually have really good jalapenos. Like, I get Tijuana Flats my sophomore year. And, like when you and your buddies get your license your sophomore year, we go to Tijuana Flats before every fall game. And we'd have to take a shit all the time during the game.
Yeah, their advertisement should be like free diarrhea or something.
No, it's a gut cleanser. Yeah, that's what we'll call it. Yeah, that's the free advertisement.
That in a pill right there.
But anyway, so you ended up going to Tijuana Flats, and like, I feel like after I stopped playing, like your relationship's like, I still
I have
like.
a question for you.
Okay.
What do you think? What was your perception of my baseball career, being my brother? Because you were playing too, so we're playing at different fields. You didn't see me play a whole lot that I remember.
Yeah, I mean, you were like. You were 94, right? When you were born.
You're 97.
So, yeah. And you were just far enough ahead of me where we never got to play together. So it was always kind of like...
I remember teaching you stuff down in the front yard and all that.
Yeah. It was almost like mythical in the sense. Like, I knew about your baseball career, and like I always heard how good you could hit. So I was just... yeah, and like that's just what I was thinking about. Like, it was like... Fuck, I got to live up to this. Because your senior year, when you graduated high school, I came in the next year.
Right.
So I was like...
Giffin for Giffin, swap
Yeah, it was almost like, not a shadow, but you know what I mean? It's like...
Well, yeah, we all had that.
There's this perception.
Yeah, and we're totally different players.
Yeah, and like, no, but like, you taking me in the front yard, I wouldn't have been able to drop a block if it wasn't for that.
Oh, man, yeah, I remember that.
It was rough before that. I tried picking everything.
I remember that.
You can't pick anything.
Teaching you how to hook slide when you were... I was like, dude, you can avoid a tag, dude.
So, I'll throw that question back at you. What'd you think of my baseball career?
I thought you didn't think you were as good as you were, but I remember like, man, I had learned so much from going to like, dude, baseball was my whole thing. We would go to Woodlands and Boosties camps, and like all I did was play baseball in the summer, the spring. It didn't matter. We'd go to the Vero thing at Dodger Town, and like I felt like I had such this baseball knowledge that I wanted to teach you. That's why I was throwing you, and I was like, if McKay can learn these things younger than I learned them, he's got to be the best. That was what I was thinking, and I thought you were great. I mean, maybe a little undersized, but what are you going to do about that?
I feel like I got the most out of my body I could have.
And the weird thing about baseball, too, is like, just your strength right now. I think if you took baseball as seriously as you could right now and not have any responsibilities, you'd be better than you ever were. Maybe your career didn't hit at the right time, and maybe you could have played it.
Nah, I peaked late. I definitely peaked late.
Most people do. These guys are getting drafted at 18. It's really tough.
Dude, I'm hitting the ball as hard as I ever have in my mid-20s in men's league.
Yeah.
And like the men's league competition isn't bad.
But if you don't do it when you're 18 or 19, then you don't get the big
But also like the direction at that point is so muddled. You don't know exactly what you're doing, where to go, what to do. Because like I feel like every high school player just knows that they need to work out.
Yeah, and that's
very broad.
Yeah, and
like you might be working out, but why are you working out? Like, why are you trying to get bigger? Why are you trying to get stronger? It's like you have to have that target goal with like your sub goals in mind.
Do you think that? I think part of my throwing thing.
Thank you, producer.
Yeah, thank you, producer. I think part of the throwing thing was like I felt like I got caught in a weird time.
I feel like I had a better arm than you, but you could hit better than me.
Yeah, and like
put us together.
my arm strength wasn't the worst thing, but it was my accuracy. Like I threw really hard as a kid.
I could consistently hit a target.
It was all upstairs, but
a lot of like we said earlier, baseball it's upstairs. Even like Tom Seaver said, baseball is all upstairs. Like because if you think about it, like everyone on a big league field, talent wise, you can't tell them apart, but on a day to day basis, you can.
Right, 100%.
Yeah. So what practices did you take from baseball into like your real life, and were you still bitter towards it? Did you like hate it? Because like I hated it for a little bit.
Yeah, I mean honestly, up until
maybe subconsciously,
up until just recently, I was my buddy Justin. He's an engineer at the fire department I work at now, and we kind of like our kindred spirits. And
we got so many beers on the table.
It's happy hour, right?
Yeah, it's happy hour at Ravage Kitchen and Cocktails.
So my buddy Justin was a ball player too. He played high school and college ball. He'll probably get on this podcast at some point. He gets me tickets for my birthday. We're going snowboarding in Seattle, and so his brother-in-law.
Safeco's a beautiful field.
Dude,
did you guys tour there?
We didn't get there in tour time. We went to like the Space Needle and rode the scooters down.
That's cool.
So it was like 2.5 mile ride on a scooter, you know. So we go to sorry, we like drove him around the stadium, but we didn't go in. But
imagine being Ichiro walking through Seattle though.
Oh man, he would get mauled.
God.
But his brother-in-law works for this company called Driveline. It's one of those companies where like
is it one of the golf places?
It's like where they put all the shit on you, and they know how you throw
it's one of those baseball
and like
they measure everything.
Yeah. They know your sperm count and everything. It's crazy.
the space in between the space in between your balls and your thighs.
What's your nut to asshole gooch ratio? Like a normal big leaguer's is 6 inches. I don't know, but it's like super. It's very complex.
They have every stat you'll ever need.
Yeah, Tim Kirchin will come out with something like that. But
on a Tuesday, you're more fertile.
So we go there, right, and we're snowboarding and having this great time. And he takes us to his facility. It's this huge, like, industrial big thing in Seattle, all indoor. Here's this fancy weight section. Here's the dorks on the computers over here fucking doing math. And
they don't know about baseball, but make your lineup.
Yeah, exactly. And then what they do is they get all your stats and they send you stuff. Like, they got a lot of big league, like, big names like Arenado, Ohtani, so it costs like $25,000. They get all your stuff and they send you a scattered report of every pitcher every night that you're going to face. So that's like their business model, right?
Yeah.
And then so just being around it again, like got me excited for baseball. The World Baseball Classic was going on at the same time.
The World Baseball Classic,
Trey Turner's doing all this stuff. Yeah. It's just like ignited, you know.
The World Baseball Classic, in my opinion, is the best baseball to watch. Any international baseball. So right before, this was the Olympics actually, because the COVID got pushed back to 2021, and so I noticed that the pre-qualifying rounds were at Ballpark at the Palm Beaches, and like it was Tradition Field at the time. I don't know what the Mets call their facility now.
City?
But, no, their spring training.
Oh yeah,
complex. But anyway, those were the two stadiums that were hosting the games, and you know, because like Uncle Nick, like I like going to those still and everything. Yeah. But there's 2 games there, and it was so funny how it worked out. There was one at Ballpark at the Palm Beaches, and then one at the one in Port St. Lucie. So it's an hour difference between the drive for me. And I was like, all right, guys, which game do you want to do? And then like I ended up picking the game, and I got to work at 5 a.m. the next day. And so we go to the one at Tradition Field in Port St. Lucie, an hour drive, and I'm catching a foul ball in the first inning.
I remember, dude, I saw that.
I got
video.
on the broadcast
for
ESPN Argentina.
How cool is that? And the guy gave you like props on the catch too.
Yeah, and what's so cool is Anibal Sanchez was pitching, and he was kind of a big local.
Was he in the Mexican League at the time, or did he?
He actually made his way back to the big leagues because of that tournament. So like the Tokyo Olympics, like you had guys like David Robertson, Edwin Jackson was still pitching, Scott Kazmir.
Man, Scott Kazmir had
dude,
a great career with the Rays, right?
Anthony Ghost, he was making the transition from outfield to pitching. I feel like there's someone else I'm definitely missing. I just can't think of his name. But they also had a second baseman who did like speed skating and baseball. Like it was just It was crazy like how all this came together, and like like international baseball is the best baseball to me. And like what's funny is like, so there's the Venezuelan crowd and the USA crowd, and like we're all barking at each other, but like in a friendly, competitive way. It was like one of the coolest environments to be a part of.
Yeah. It's
like everyone was just so passionate about like what was going on, and just I feel like when you put like USA across your chest, it changes the complexion of the game.
Yeah, it kind of ties into like an Olympic and a baseball thing, and it makes it's way cooler. You get the best of every country, and then
Todd Frazier was in it too on his exit tour.
Who did he play for? Was it USA?
Yeah, no, this was during the Olympics. So he played for the Yankees, Mets. Remember, he came up with the Reds.
They don't do that anymore, do they?
The Olympics might be out of the next round of whatever, but that's some of the best baseball to watch.
The atmosphere is crazy, and all the players say that.
So, like, it was about 5,000 people at that game in a spring training facility. Loudest game I've been to in my life, counting any major league, like any game I've like physically been in person in.
Man, imagine being like at one of those games where like Joe Carter hit that home run in Toronto.
No, imagine being at Trey Turner's Grand Slam.
Yeah, I mean that too. Like these huge moments that like on any time.
Remember Joe Girardi's triple with the Yankees in the playoffs?
Yeah. That was huge.
I remember they said that was the loudest Yankee Stadium ever was because I was watching a game and this was back, I want to say around 21. The Yankees had this guy, his name was Tim Anderson. He's been an up and down guy.
I saw him. He just got knocked out. Yeah.
Yeah, no, not that Tim Anderson. Okay. I might have his name wrong, but like he was an outfielder, journeyman, up and down guy, and he ends up hitting a triple. And they talk about Joe Girardi's story. Then I'm looking back at it, and like Yankee Stadium was rocking, it was shaking, like it was so loud, the cameras were shaking. Yeah. It was just a different environment.
Could you imagine? Like baseball's hard enough, and then you have like however many people Yankee Stadium holds yelling at you. Like you sucked, like harsh, brutal, man, brutal. It's got to be like that's what. Being an ultimate gamer is those guys that thrive in those atmospheres.
But anyway, before we get on our way out, so like, what practices did baseball take you into real life? Because I feel like it's such a great teacher for just learning how to deal with failure, learning how to do things day in and day out.
Well, for me specifically, I think that I'm in my job now. I'm a firefighter paramedic on the other coast, and it's kind of like almost as close as a direct correlation from baseball as you can get, I think, in a working atmosphere.
I feel like a lot of baseball players go towards like emergency response.
They do, and it's a similar atmosphere. Like you're around a group of people, and then you all work together, and you have different roles, just like a baseball team is, and you know how to work. I think though, like any team sport, kind of would correlate. It's just it's like values instilled from you that you already know, and it's an easy transition to get to that, you know. But so that was easy, and we have like 5 or 6 ex baseball guys that work for us, and then all over neighboring departments. You know, it just seems to be like a natural progression in there, and you already know how to work in a team atmosphere. You know, it's the same thing, but with a different skill set. You know, it's a whole different job, but it's the same day in, day out process.
Yeah. Well, anything you want to add before we wrap up?
No, thanks for having me, man. I appreciate it. It was a good time.
No, this was a really fun episode. And thank you so much to Ryan and Alex letting us record at your restaurant.
And Willie Bob behind the camera.
Thank you for Willie Bob behind the camera.
Thanks for the beers. He's a producer and bartender.
Yeah.
And a drummer.
Yeah, this guy wears every hat.
Yeah. If this podcast gets famous one day, I'm going to post a video of Willie Bob on a tractor at my bachelor party.
Oh my god, I remember that. And someone was just like, "Man, he looks so natural."
Yeah, he was just like a monkey to a tree, man.
Shwilly, you are he's living his best life. He looks like a natural redneck.
Oh man, we love it. Thanks for having me on, man.
Yeah, dude, it was a pleasure having you on, and always feel free to come back. And thank you so much for Ravish and Bitcoin Cash Podcast for sponsoring this podcast. Check out their services, and especially if you're in the local Antenna area, come to Ravish. A lot of friendly people, very family driven, and especially like Ryan brings in his people to work here, so you're going to get a great experience. Ryan and Alex will make sure that happens for you. All right, guys, catch you next week.
All right, appreciate it.